Less than 48 hours to kick off, and the Eagles' latest injury report doesn't look great for a couple key positions. But why can we expect a strong performance from the Birds and cornerback Josh Jobe? Plus, DeAndre Swift is set to get way more touches, and the reason Dallas Goedert's about to go off. But first, let's run it. What's up, guys? In case anyone's new to the channel, I'm Josh and I cover the Birds. So it turns out that no one won the mini helmet giveaway because who could have predicted a big play Slay pick 6? Well, I guess no one. But let's go bigger this week since nobody got it correct. Go ahead and drop your prediction for who the Eagles' first touchdown scorer is along with the exact yardage of the score, and if you win, I'll send you a full-sized autographed DeAndre Swift helmet. Or we'll do a drawing if there's multiple winners. Personally, I'm going to go with Dallas Goedert to score from 7 yards out, which maybe I'm crazy since the tight end only registered one target on Sunday, but remember, head coach Nick Sirianni came away from that game saying that ain't ever going to happen again. Plus, if we look back to last season, the Birds had a similar issue getting the ball to Devontae Smith. Despite winning in a shootout against the Lions 38-35, Smitty didn't register a single catch. Trust me, I had him in fantasy, so struggled wondering how he'd do the next week. But much like the situation with Goedert, Sirianni said the team would get the Slim Reaper the ball following the Detroit game, and that's exactly what they did, with number 6 recording 7 catches for 80 yards, as there was a clear focus to get him involved. However, guess who finished atop the receiving chart in that game against the Vikes? Yep, our man Dallas G with 5 catches for 82 yards. And sure, the 28-year-old was frustrated from the Pats game, but he is expecting a lot more volume, saying after Sunday, the benefit for me is I get to be in there in the run game, and I get to take my frustrations out on the defensive ends and the linebackers. So I still had a lot of fun playing, and it was a great win for us. It was a lot of fun, but maybe the Vikings will be my week. If not, we'll keep chopping away until it comes. Oh, it definitely will be, but I can understand if it makes you uncomfortable picking him.
I'm really uncomfortable.
Okay, but maybe that's a good thing, since like Jason Kelce said when referencing the Eagles' expectations this season, you gotta get uncomfortable being comfortable. I believe when stuff is not stressful, you get anxious, and I know that I feel that way. I know offensive line coach Jeff Stoutland feels that way as well. A lot of people in this building don't like that feeling. Stout will come up and go on a rant in a meeting out of nowhere because he feels like I think some of the time, and I think the other players and coaches do that as well. You can't ever fall asleep. Sure, I think all of us understand the NFL ain't a cakewalk, and so teams can sneak up on you if you're not ready. Yet despite escaping with a win against Belichick on the road, Zach Berman put it into context for just how bad of a week 1 performance it was, writing, "The offense had one of the worst performances of the Sirianni era, with their fewest yards since 2021 and expected points added per drive of negative 0.95. Heck, they registered only one play of 20 plus yards, Dallas Goedert didn't record a catch like we just talked about, and DeAndre Swift finished with only 2 touches. There are enough issues for first-year offensive coordinator Brian Johnson to rectify in a truncated period that he's likely not sleeping much either, and you can be assured Sirianni's sleep tracker isn't boasting high numbers. No, it's not. Clearly, in case you wanted any proof. Alright, so there's lots of glaring issues, but this is a good thing to me, really serving as a wake-up call. Because like Sexy Batman reminded, the moment you think you've made it in this league and stop worrying about the guy behind you, you're done. And I really hope we're very much in the mindset of we can go out there and lose to anybody in the league. I don't know if the team wasn't before, but they surely are now. Yet the offensive line definitely wasn't up to par, or at least of what we're accustomed to. As ESPN's Tim McManus said, the biggest stock fall from week 1 was the Stoutland O-line, saying normally a primary strength of this team, the offensive front struggled to keep a clean pocket for Hurts, who was pressured 19 times and sacked 3 times. It was a tough first assignment, as Bill Belichick's as good as it gets at creating confusion up front, but this unit needs to be better. Look, it is only week 1, but McManus isn't wrong, as Jordan Mailata definitely struggled at times, and even the All-Pro Lane Johnson did as well, where Elliott Shore-Parks pointed out, Mailata and Pave the Lane gave up 10 combined pressures on Sunday, and as most of us recall, the O-line as a unit allowed 3 sacks on Jalen. Of course, I'm no analyst expert, nor do I pretend to be, but could it be something with the cadence, which seems unbelievably telegraphed that even I could time some of those? You can relax, I realize a lot of teams use the same cadence in noisy environments. At the same time, the Pats did send a good bit of pressure, keeping Jalen off balance, and our signal caller was nowhere close to his typical standard. Curious to know what you guys think though, and if there was a particular reason you saw for any offensive line concerns. Either way, at least it was a win, and maybe we're being too expectant early on, since Brandon Graham said recently in an interview, everybody expected last year's success to just pop right off. No, we've got to build it up. I was very proud of the resilience we had. I was more proud of that part of the game than anything. Well, we're definitely going to need more of that resilience this week because, as Derek Gunn reported, Fletcher Cox and Kenneth Gainwell are both dealing with rib injuries Cox should be good to go for Thursday night versus Minnesota, but Gainwell remains a wait-and-see issue. Sure, hopefully both are good to go, but that does mean there's a chance we'll see a little bit more of DeAndre Swift. Okay, we were going to see way more of him anyway. But come on, it was absurd the lack of usage Agent Zero had against the Patriots. And as Outside DeBirds pointed out, even when Swift was on the field, the Eagles only gained 26 total yards on the 16 plays he lined up as a runner. However, when Swift was used as a wide receiver, either in the slot or outside, which was just 3 plays by the way, the Eagles gained 22 yards. And sure, Swift did drop his only target, but I agree with Anthony that the defense has to honor him as a threat, assuming offensive coordinator Brian Johnson utilizes him better. Although BJ did hint at least trying to do that.
Continuing to find different ways and unique ways to get everybody involved and put guys in the best position possible so that they can go out there and perform at a high level.
Okay, so maybe go with Swift as the first touchdown scorer. Or how about Rashaad Penny? Like Victor Williams suggested, there's worse ways to spend $10. The first touchdown score odds are plus 750 for those wondering. But getting back to the injuries, thankfully it sounds like Fletcher Cox should be good, as well as Reed Blankenship, who suffered a rib injury also. However, corner James Bradberry is still in concussion protocol. Obviously not a great sign with the game less than 2 days away, which means second-year corner Josh Jobe will have to fill in, and Sirianni's confident in his ability, saying, "We've got a lot of confidence in Josh. That's why he's made our roster the last 2 years. I think he's a really physical corner who is long, strong, and when he gets his hands on you, he's able to control you." I'm just going to keep going. Sirianni also said it could be a number of corners who have to step up and make plays. So perhaps a guy like Eli Ricks is elevated from the practice squad, or Keely Ringo steps in for some early game action. Although if I had to pick based on game reps and what we saw from the preseason, I'm much more confident in Ricks than I am Ringo. Honestly, is there anyone who'd play Ringo above him? Regardless, I highly doubt one of those guys would have to play too much, assuming everyone stays healthy. Because let's not forget, it was Jobe who got a lot of first-team reps during training camp, clearly solidifying himself as the immediate backup behind either Slay or Bradberry. And also, JB has given Josh the full vote of confidence. Since the game slowed down for him, Bradberry said he's thinking at a faster pace. He's always been athletic. He's always been physical. I think that showed last year, but I think the mental part of the game is definitely starting to improve for him. And he can also run. I think he's faster than me, so I think it's going to be a good year for him. Look, I actually think he's going to do fairly well on Thursday, and no, it's not because he has a super awesome first name, or the fact, like Jeff Kerr pointed out, on Sunday, Jobe was targeted twice where Mac Jones went 0 for 2 with a 39.6 rating. Because for one, that's an incredibly small sample size, and I'd argue that a better receiver would have gotten 2 feet in bounds on that final play. You know, like a Justin Jefferson or Jordan Addison that were playing this week. So there is cause for a little concern, especially since Jordan Addison is the likely guy Jobe would cover, and Addison averaged 2.9 yards of separation per route on Sunday, ranking higher than guys like Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs, Calvin Ridley, and A.J. Brown, meaning Jobe's hands are definitely going to be full.
This is crazy, this is crazy, this is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, because can we expect Slay to keep up that same level of dominance he had from last year, when he had 6 targets while guarding Justin Jefferson, allowing 1 catch for 7 yards while grabbing 2 picks and allowing a 0 passer rating? To be honest, I don't think it's that realistic to expect Slay to be that dominant again, but I do think Slay can hold Jefferson in check, allowing Desai and the defense to game plan and help Jobe if needed. Plus, getting Kirk Cousins on primetime is just about the best case scenario, and I'd expect the Philly pass rush to create a little more havoc than they did against the Patriots, along with some injury concerns, but more on that in a second. Of course, I understand the doubt with the Eagles being without a healthy linebacker room, since it was announced officially that Nakobe Dean has been put on the IR and won't be available until week 6. And the Birds elevated Nicholas Morrow from the practice squad, leaving us to question who in the world will be wearing the green dot. Yet if Sunday is any indication, it could be Christian Ellis, with Desai sharing Christian Ellis begun with signal calling responsibilities, but they also switched it to Reed Blankenship as well after the injury to Dean. And I talked about Ellis before, but with his unsure tackling at times, it wouldn't be too surprising if the Eagles went a different direction. So I love the idea of Blankenship getting the calls in, because even though several guys didn't have the best day, the Ghost was graded as a top 5 safety in the NFL week 1. So he'd be my vote. But go ahead and let me know who you want wearing the green dot and which linebacker should be next to Zach Cunningham. I think the silver lining to these injuries is that you at least get 10 days off after the Vikings game, along with, let's be honest, not the most competitive quarterback lineup in Baker Mayfield, Sam Howell, Matthew Matthew Stafford and Zach Wilson. Sure, Stafford's respectable and did well against the Seahawks, but he could still be without wide receiver Cooper Kupp. And then the Jets game may not be easy, but it got easier after the very unfortunate Achilles injury to Aaron Rodgers playing at, guess where? MetLife Stadium. Despite the brand new turf that was supposed to negate injuries but call it coincidence, or maybe it didn't help anything, but not a good look. Either way, Slay isn't a fan saying everyone knows about that stadium. They need to get real grass. That's trash. It's obvious to see a lot of guys have season-ending injuries there. All right, hopefully Rodgers can recover for next season, and hopefully we don't see too many injuries there. However, I don't just love the fact that the Birds play there twice, once against the Jets and again versus the Giants. Speaking of injuries though, the Vikings could be in a similar situation as the Patriots were last week, with 2 starting offensive linemen on the injury report in center Garrett Bradberry, who didn't practice, and left tackle Christian Darrisaw, who was limited. And Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell said both guys are day-to-day, but he's hopeful they'll be good to go. So we'll continue to monitor the situation, but ain't gonna be fun for Cousins and co going up against this D-line. Reminder, live show tomorrow, the Wednesday link with Thomas Mott, as we'll be doing another drawing and giveaway. So hope to see you there. This has been the Philly Special.